mobbed by? Which fans?
Man, the most passionate?
He was just always attacked by Last of Us cosplayers.
It felt like I actually had like clickers behind me. I don't know. It's. I think everybody who has the volition to pick up a controller and actually spend 30, 40 hours or more playing a game is a pretty passionate fan. Even more so than like film or sometimes even TV. But I think it's varied. I mean, we've definitely had success with Uncharted. That is something it changed the game.
Yeah, for me, the answer is Uncharted.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's more, men, women. I met grandparents just like Sully. The whole family comes as Sully. That it's something that's gone on for over a decade. So and I've done nothing else. That's why that usually qualifies it as the top one.
So is game VA work very different to when you're doing advertising or audio books or audio description?
For sure.
Yeah. I think it can depend on a lot of games now are doing performance capture.
Yeah.
Like Uncharted did, Last of Us. A lot of times with games, if it's not a performance capture game, you're alone when you're putting with Destiny. I've had one session where I got to work with one of the other actors on that, but that was just a random session, and it was just scheduling more than anything. It wasn't for anything other than the fact that the time they could be there was that day, and that was my time as well. So, but animation sometimes can be a
group ensemble, or you can be by yourself.
Yeah, so that's for me. It's always one of the biggest things. Just that sometimes it's a lonelier job, unless it's performance capture, which is just like shooting television or film.
Yeah. Only the wardrobe's slightly different.
Yeah,
Slightly different.
But you wear that anyway.
I do.
It does.
I think it complements my thinking.
Make it look good.
What else?
You guys touched on performance capture as being a growing part of the games, and people like Andy Serkis have moved from film into doing computer
Who's
games.
this now?
Never heard of him. Small-time British guy. Hasn't done much. Have you guys ever thought about taking your performance capture experience into movies? Could we have seen you in the Planet of the Apes films at any point?
You could have.
You could have. They didn't cast
They didn't cast it. It was funny, a buddy of mine was in the last one, and I was like, have fun wearing the suit. And he was like, I have questions. Because it's something that comes very, it's kind of second nature to us now. Like, everybody gets hazed, and there's no one game that is done it one certain way. Like, everybody has their own way of doing it. But there's some basic fundamentals about it. But it's the thing that I love about performance capture is number one, like you said, we get a chance to actually work with other people as opposed to just being in such a vacuum. But it really forces you as an actor to strip away everything that normally helps to inform you about the role. Like, I had a buddy that was on a film, and he's like, I don't feel like the character, but then I'm in the hair and makeup, and they give me the scar, and they put on the wig, and then I go and I get my wardrobe on, I have my sword, and it's like, then I feel like the character. And let me tell you what it looks like when you go through all of that. And it's, someone's putting, 64 dots on your face, and you've got a camera and a helmet that has a camera right here, and you're wearing a leotard, with little ping pong balls on it. And the other person that you're talking that you're in the scene with is wearing the exact same thing. And you have to have all of that disappear because you're doing this incredibly intense, as games have, the writing has evolved, as the caliber, the kind of cinematic performance field they're trying to go for has evolved. You're doing a really, especially in the case of The Last of Us, you're doing a very intense, dramatic scene. And all of that has to go away. And so a lot of times people that come in from TV or film in a traditional sense come in and they lock up and they're trying to get over that hurdle of what normally has helped set them up for success is actually now a hindrance. I did that. A camera. Sorry. But the long and short of it is this. It's always fun to watch someone who hasn't done this before, and you see that light bulb moment for them like we've all had. It's like, this is what we did when we were kids. This is playing pretend. This is my gun. And this is, me playing in a sandbox, just on a much, much cooler scale.
Yeah. And ultimately, it comes down to that connection you have with the other actor. It's all, it's a relationship that you. So I remember Gordon Hunt, who directed the first 3 Uncharted, would always talk about being very specific with that person you're talking to, the same way as you would in on-camera situation. So he's building the character like some actors like to do. Alec Guinness was famous for building character from the outside in. If he was a king, he would wear he didn't feel it till that cloak. So, but like you said, without that cloak, how do you do it? Alec Guinness, I'm sure he would have figured it out. But ultimately, it comes down to that, just playing with that relationship and really finding the specifics. So, and Gordon Hunt used to really push that a lot. He said, be specific when you're in your things. No extraneous movement, because especially in a digital space, it becomes a little more exaggerated. So it's. I like it a lot. I'm always, people say, "But there's nothing here." I say, "Or everything."
Or everything.
So, yeah.
And talking about everything, you guys have done such an astonishing range of different characters. Looking at your IMDb pages, I'm curious. Apart from the most iconic ones, what have been the most weird and the most fun to do from these, little kind of voice parts and weird things that pop up?
I have a lot. Sigmund from Ratchet and Clank was kind of fun, just because.
It's so silly to be.
Do a voice that I used to do for my nieces and nephews. They were little. There's so many.
I love being surprised, like when I watching Rick and Morty. And then all of a sudden I'm just enjoying the episode, and I hear his stupid voice. It's so much fun.
That was Pluto. Feel that? Just got a little smart.
I was Scoopy Doopers.
Just got a little smart.
It's stuff like that, and if we're playing a game or we're watching, like Fred Tatasciore here, and the last 3 seasons of Family Guy, I've heard Fred in every episode. And especially when it's a friend, you get really excited and you feel like you're celebrating with them. It's like watching somebody run a 50-yard touch in the wrong place to make it. It's like the footballer. It's those kind of things that I love. But
keep going.
No. That's as far as I can take that metaphor. But it's to me, some of those really smaller, obscure roles are the ones that kind of, every time, man, you're cutting your teeth. It's just my man. Every one of those small roles has somehow advanced you further. A buddy of mine, Glenn Morshower, said it's all about singles and doubles. It's about another baseball metaphor. I never make sports metaphors, but it's not about every time hitting it out of the park. It's about getting it. I was containing within the metaphor.
He meant cricket.
Yes. When you're getting a 6.
This is my life.
Brits don't even understand.
He's like this when we're having lunch.
Metaphor, dick joke.
Here it comes.
So what else?
Kill me.
Talking about hitting out of the park, obviously, The Last of Us was one of those rare projects that really exploded and became a huge part of the landscape of video gaming. I'm curious, can you talk a little bit about how exciting it is to get to continue that with The Last of Us Part 2 and the pressure that comes with building off such a big hit?
There's a lot of that. I mean, we felt that pressure. I'll never forget the first time that Bruce Straley and Neil Druckmann walked Ashley and I through. We drove to the Culver Stages and we saw where we were going to shoot this thing, and they took us through the exact same pitch that they took Sony through to get the game greenlit. And about an hour later, they finished. We were like, well, we'll just take a break. We walked outside, and I looked at Ashley and I was like, do you realize if this thing fails, it's because of us? Because they've got the pedigree, they've got the idea, it's all on us to... And these 2.5 years of shooting, you realize, no, you've got a really good team of people that's going to make sure that you don't fail. They are your net to keep you. And the thing that I love about games specifically, and that game is a great example of it, is that it's not just one person that character rests on. It's the animator, it's the modeler, it's the shader, it's the coder, it's so many people that go into making a character in a game and making that game. But for The Last of Us specifically, coming back to it and you start asking yourself a lot of questions. You're like, do I have what it takes to do this again? Will people love it? And the beauty of being under the auspices of Naughty Dog and Neil Druckmann is that question is relevant. Because we're not doing this so that people like it. We're doing this because it's honest. We're doing this because we believe we have a story to tell. And the second that we start trying to make something that we think you'll like, that's when we'll fail. Neil writes honestly. He asks us to perform honestly. And ultimately, all we want to do is make a game that we want to play. So if we can do that, then I think everyone's going to be happy with it. But so far, it's a fantastic story, man. It's a fantastic game. We just finished a play test. It's looking awesome. I can't wait for it to be on shelves.
I know you can't talk about specifics, but just general as an overall experience. I think sometimes when you have a big hit with something, there's an expectation that the sequel's going to be just exactly the same again. Do you feel that this is going to be a different experience for fans overall?
For sure. Yeah.
Everyone dies.
You die actually when you play. Yeah.
Bruce Willis was dead the whole time.
Die Hard 5, which is the performance.
When we did the trailer, that trailer that we released at PSX 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago now, the second that we stepped foot back on set, it was just heavy. And I think that's because where we left off, it's not a bright, cheery game, and this is no different. It's heavy on set. People are like, "Was it so much fun to do the last one?" Like, no, it's not fun. There's a burden on your back, and you feel good about what you've done. But I don't know. You blew me off with the Bruce Willis. I'm thinking about that joke.
We're just begging for the next question.
Yes, please.
So if there's any franchise, not that there's very many left, that either of you worked on at some point, what franchise would you love to get involved with?
I've always liked to said Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really. I always loved that the whole Western and cowboy movies. Sergio Leone, the spaghetti westerns. So yeah.
Have you ever done a Western?
No. I mean,
I would do the
thanks
worst
for
Western.
bringing that up.
Yeah, salt wound. Yeah, I would be the same way. I mean, that it's one of the greatest moments in gaming for me was crossing over from Texas into Mexico. And
The
Juan
Jose Gonzalez.
Yeah, it's just Jose Gonzalez. That's right. Plays. That's one of my favorite. And I knew that gaming had changed when that moment happened because I'm on the stick and this cinematic moment is playing out. I was like, I want to do that. I want to be in this game. Hauser Brothers, if you're watching this, though, it's not too late. We work together a lot. We're a really good Western. I'm from Texas, so you can just put me in there.
I was named after Nolan Ryan, who's from Texas.
My agents, if you want to read, can we just give that information out?
Snowman's had a question for 20
finally.
minutes.
No, he just needs to go to the bathroom. Please.
So obviously, been a lot of roles throughout the years you've been. Is there any been roles that you've thought that's really challenged you in terms of your vocal range and training?
What stretched you the most?
Not gonna bite him.
Oh no! Are you going to go the route that you could?
No, I think. No. I think the
Is it a character from the 30s?
no. No, I think it's. I'm going to answer this question, but I'm completely responsible for it.
Yeah.
Whatever voice you audition with, they go, yeah, you get the job because of that. And I auditioned. There was one that I did for a cartoon for Nickelodeon called Breadwinners, and I was a Viking beaver. Runsky talk like this, and everyone just. But
26 episodes later.
actually, they were 11 minutes, so it was 52 episodes, and then they got a second season, so it's like 104 episodes. And he wasn't in all of them, but in a lot of them. But he also sang like that. What's that band? War.
Yeah.
So he had that, and then you do it, and oh man, I nailed it. And then they go, "That's great. Can we do it? Try it. Let's do it again, just a little louder, a little more." Okay. It's literally just one of those voices I will never audition with again because it just was, you walk out like, "Thanks so much." It's just gone. So, but again, it's my. If I can't sustain it, I shouldn't audition with it. So I won't use that one.
Yeah, never audition for a role you can't sustain. Yeah. Joker for me was the one, and it makes me look at what I already people know this. Greatly respected Mark Hamill for what he did because he is the Joker to me. But I watch him and I see how effortless it just flows out of him. I'm like, man, that's just not fair. It's really not fair because every session, if I could complete a 4-hour session, which typically I could not, I was covered in sweat and I was exhausted. And typically, Amanda Wyatt, who was our booth director, would be like, "I'm going to go ahead and call it because we're starting to get diminishing returns." I'm like, "Yeah," because it's just such a, it's the manicness and you start. The way that Mark never makes it sound like he's falling into a rhythm, but that he's always chaotic, to me is far cooler than what he does as a vocal quality, and that's infinitely cool. But that's the one where I got the gig and I turned it down twice because I was petrified. And it finally was the
You got a lot of fear issues.
A lot of fear, especially with that. That helped me get over it though. It really did.
You know, with The Last of Us, you were saying it's like,
I almost walked out.
If this fails, it's our fault. I'm like, whoa.
No. I almost walked, like literally for the audition, I was standing up from my seat to leave because I was like, I'm looking around the room and I see that guy's gonna get it, that guy's gonna get it, that guy's gonna get it. And I literally almost stood up to leave and they went, "Troy?" I went, "Yep." And I came this close to walking out of that audition. So, moral of the story is don't ever let fear be the reason why you don't do something.
See, we learned something yesterday.
Didn't we?
The more you know.
Can we make this the last question, please?
Make it a good one.
The best question.
Okay. Speaking in relevance to the fear you felt picking up the mantle of the Joker from Mark Hamill, and you two briefly talking about. I do want to include Nolan, don't worry.
We want to.
There's recently been news about the Last of Us film adaptation as well as an Uncharted film adaptation, and with relevance to Mark Hamill and you feeling pressure in taking up that mantle, how would you feel if those films came to fruition and you saw someone else playing the role of Nathan Drake or the role of Joel in The Last of Us? And do you think it's even possible or worth doing? I suppose there's a lot of questions in that. I do apologise.
You can submit that, Martin Lewis. I'll do it. If they were to make the Last of Us movie, that I hope that it's good. I just hope that whoever plays Joel, whoever plays Ellie, whoever plays those characters, doesn't want to try to do what's already in the game because that's already been done. It's accepting the fact that it has been successfully produced and released and out there as an art form. I want to learn something new about the character. I want them to show me something that I never knew about that character. It's what makes Shakespeare great. It's because everyone's interpretation of Richard III is completely different. King Lear is completely different. I want to learn something. When Martin Freeman did Richard, it was completely different than anybody else. I was like, that's an incredibly cool take on that character. You don't have to like it, but it's something new. So if they do that, I just want to walk away going, I never knew that about Joel. I never knew that about him.
With Uncharted, I think it's how movies are made with, movie stars. And it's not, could I do it? Yes, but at this point, I'm also getting older. I joke about it that, by the time this is made, I could play Sully.
Would you do Sully if offered?
Sure. But the thing is, it's like, as far as I'm concerned, I've made 4 movies. The way I look at it, and as an actor, I'm actually looking for the next thing. I want to, what's next, what's fun. I've played that, I've done that role for so long, and it's kind of, I would do another one, but it's kind of like Harrison Ford. He has nothing to prove as Indiana Jones.
Right.
But they throw a truck of money at him,
And we get the Crystal Skull.
he's going to get it. But it's a great answer to just see what someone else's take. I know the last talk was Tom Holland as a younger Nathan Drake. If you're going to do it, I would definitely do somebody younger, so that if it does become successful, it can sustain a series of films. It just would be, nobody wants to watch me run around like that. I don't, especially me. I think good on them. I will say this. I still think it's a better idea to take movies and turn them into games.
Hell yeah.
Than do the other way. I don't know why Hollywood's gotten this.
Annihilation.
I've said for a long time that The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo I think would be a phenomenal game.
Thank you.
You'd have a great female lead character, strong and just and I will work on my accent and play Michael Lundquist because that I could do because he's of that age.
I will say this too, one last little closing thing, the BAFTA nominations were announced this week, BAFTA game nominations, and I'm incredibly impressed and glad that BAFTA was leading the way in the fact that all of their nominations were either a female lead or a person of color. I think it's incredible, and I think that it shows, it's not someone motivating a political agenda, but it's responsive to what's happening in games right now. For that very reason, the fact that we have Shadow of Tomb Raider coming out, it's a strong female lead. We've got the last Uncharted was 2 strong female leads. We have What Remains of Edith Finch. You've got, him.
I think Nathan Drake to a certain extent.
I'm excited to see what's happening in games because what it shows is that it doesn't have to be a square-jawed guy with a gun, and that opens up opportunities for us as characters to really explore what the role, if not the protagonist, but maybe the villain or whatever else looks like. So,
I lost my last BAFTA nomination, so I'm not being so kind to them. That's it. Let's end on that.
That's a great.
Ended on that.
End on that positive message.
Thank you guys.
I've got the sad music from the end of The Incredible Hulk.
The thumbs.